All right, all right, all right, all right, you guys, 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 all right, you guys. All right, you guys. All right, all right, all right, all right, you guys, all right, you guys. All right, you guys, all right, you guys. All right, you guys. All right, you guys. All right, all right, all right. All right, you guys, 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 all right, you guys. All right, you guys. What's up? Happy hump day, maybe? Yeah. Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. We are 446 days, 4 hours, 44 minutes from the midterms, and I don't know, maybe the last it may be America's last hurrah, or we've had it, our last hurrah already. Trump is not doing his takeover the way I had quite expected, though, you know, I thought it would be kind of a huge overall, just bam, declare martial law for whatever reason, right? But it still seems to be happening very, very fast, way too fast. So he's now threatening to take over other American cities, which is just fucking great, right? So I have a clip of his presser. I don't know if maybe that was today. I don't know. I was not around until this evening. I stopped in the Chud Chat for lunch for about 30 minutes. Spoiled my lunch, damn it. But just a lot of kooky, screwy shit with his threats, you know. It's really quite astonishing. It is a clear weaponization of the government. Now, we all want crime-free streets. We want to be safe. We want them to be clean as possible. I had a comment today that I live out in the sticks, so I can't possibly know what it's like to deal with crime in a city. I do live out in the sticks. I haven't my whole life. In fact, I've spent some time as a kid in some living, well, from time to time in some pretty sketchy neighborhoods in like Grand Rapids. So we all understand that it's important to be safe. I have a wife and adult kids and grandkids, and so what do you do with what is Trump's plan to do with homeless folks that aren't criminals? I'm sure maybe some of them are, but you know, he rambled about providing the resources for these folks to get the help they need. And it's like, so now all of a sudden you want to do social programs, but I think clearly it's going to be whatever he can do to do away with these folks, whoever he feels is unfit to live in the city of D.C. for now. Though, as we'll see, he threatens to take over other cities and clean them up. I don't know if Trump said anything about the Hells Angels, but the Chuds were certainly into it. Thought they were going to come and save America and clean it up. So I don't know. I mean, my guess is that he would love to ship all the homeless off to El Salvador because it would be much cheaper or less expensive, I guess, less costly, whatever. It's all pretty disgusting, but to pay President Bukaki or whatever his name is in El Salvador there to just, discard these homeless Americans. That's what it is. I'm sure he'd be more than happy because, it'd probably cost less than the social programs or programs needed, resources needed to help get these folks back to being productive members of society, right? Which most of them, I would assume, want to be, right? Depending on how far they're gone they are. But, I can't imagine most folks enjoy being on the street, being addicted to drugs. Even if they don't want to stop doing drugs, they probably are, every day trying to reconcile or find a way to find that balance, right? And it's, obviously for a lot of people it's not possible. But that shows me that they do not want to be, they want to be self-sufficient, They don't want to be living on the street, not having a clean place to sleep, safe place to sleep, not being able to be clean or have a regular meal. So that would be my guess as to what Trump would like to see happen with these folks is ship them off to a foreign prison. I mean, every day I'm still flabbergasted by the silence from the right. The ear-piercing silence. It's from saying that all laws the Constitution and all laws should be paused, or whatever his exact words were. It was terrible, right? Because of his lies about election fraud. And that went nowhere. It's like nobody on the right seemed to give a fuck that you don't, that's not like misspeaking or, taken out of context. That's some fucking crazy bullshit. And so that to his kleptocracy with dismantling these these founding institutions of ours, creating instability in ways that I don't think most folks understand yet. When you start dismantling all these social programs, Medicaid, Medicare, food benefits for American children of American, generations, children whose family have been here for generations, they're just kids, hungry kids. And this fucking fat fuck billionaire is like, it's infuriating. And right up to now, taking over, putting troops in the streets. The founding fathers never, ever, ever wanted the president to have the power to exact American troops against American citizens. It's just crazy. All these things get overlooked. They just get shrugged off by the right. I guess because they're white, or if they're not, they feel they have enough money where none of these things will be an issue. I mean, I guess surprisingly, they're not worried about paying more money for everything, which, if they have the money, I could see that, but that's not how rich people work. Or a lot of them, the disgustingly rich folks that, and I'm not talking about people, because rich to me isn't necessarily a lot of money, but we can, I guess, we'll take a look at this. I won't be able to see chat for a few. We'll play this presser. Okay, so this was Monday morning. But this is the one I wanted anyways.
I think we need a ballroom. And that's happening. It's going to be a beautiful ballroom. This is really a lot of people, most I've ever seen in this room.
So is that why he wants a ballroom? Because I haven't even gotten into this. I know they fucked up the Rose Garden, put some tacky fucking beach umbrellas out there. You guys nobody thinks yet on the right that this isn't him just kind of, well, like I said a minute when I started the stream, a little bit still way too fast for my liking, way too fast. Any speed is too fast. So he's just slow rolling. He's wanting to be, I am just, I don't know. He's not going to be, I almost wish we were close. Obviously, I wish we were closer to the 2028 elections, but for a lot of reasons. But it's going to get so, this shit's going to fucking hit the fan. And I don't know if it's going to be more towards as we get closer to into 2028 or if it's going to fall apart for Trump and his administration before then. But Yeah, you don't hear any pushback about. I mean, what the fuck? The whole Doge thing cost taxpayers money, right? You didn't have to set up this huge fucking department to totally obliterate really good programs that we had. Just tons of programs in the USAID alone. To build a, what about the Doge checks, the $500 or $5,000 Doge checks? What about it was just a few weeks ago that it was supposedly going to be up to $2,400 for a family of four. So if you're a bigger family than four, too bad, you get $2,400, $600 a person. So if you're under a family four, my guess is that it's going to be $600 a person, right? And maybe you got to be a family. Maybe they won't even give Doge checks to single person households. Who knows? So yeah, paying for a big old ugly ballroom, beautiful. So I guess, as he said there, he needs a bigger room because there's too many people in that press room. He just wants a bigger press room, I guess.
And we're here for a very serious purpose, Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back.
You look shot, Mr. Trump. I think it's time to retire, Grandpa. I don't know what's going on with you, dude, but you can barely fucking read. Not that I'm great at reading, but what the fuck? It's like you don't... he doesn't understand the words he's saying or something.
Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that.
So today's the day. I've got my...
All right, sorry. I guess we're going to deal with some ads.
Tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed.
That's exactly what you want to happen to liberals. You've said just a few weeks ago that whether it's right or wrong, you're going to come after people. You said during your campaign, you are going to come after liberal or Democrats and their families. Your people have said those exact words.
And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be...
Watch him. I streamed this Monday, but I can't keep track of all the details. But watch he'll turn this shit around and just start fucking laying into Democrats. He'll probably, and I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing he's probably going to start saying something to the effect that you deserve what you get.
Anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something.
Or buy some underpants, as he once said in a fucking renewable energy meeting. In case you want to go to the store to buy some new underpants.
And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the...
Now, I don't know about these stats, but I can't trust a motherfucking thing that, well, it says source the D.C. Metropolitan Police. I have no idea. All I know is that it's very tough to trust any numbers coming from Trump, right? Like,
The places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth, much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings.
All right, so what's that stat right there? Sorry about the screen. Violent crime in D.C. is down 35%. Okay, so this is... So a minute ago, that was Trump's statistics, I'm guessing. Oh, no. Okay, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. I seen all the green arrows, and I thought it meant it was going up. Yeah, so that's what I had heard, that crime overall has been down.
Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth, much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent...
So the last statistic he gave was saying that it's the highest in 2023, or I don't know. He talks in fucking code or some bullshit half the time. Anyways, right now, I guess the murder rate is higher than it's been in the last 25 years, but we've only been measuring murder rates for the last 25 years? Are you fucking kidding me? I think that's pretty much what he suggested.
Probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't...
That's what it means. It means in the last 25 years. You mean you don't know what it means?
Be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people, and we're not going to let it...
And they're half of them he hired.
...it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. Just like we did on our southern border. Nobody comes through our southern border anymore. 3 months in a row, we had zero. I don't know if that's right, but the people...
How do you know? What if there are gotaways? Remember when we used to count the gotaways? How do you count someone that gets away?
To do the work. It's a very liberal group of people, actually, and they actually said zero for the last 3 months. Nobody thought a thing like that was possible. And, when you say take a look at numbers...
Well, when you turn the fucking country into a fascist state, bordering on fucking full-out fucking dictatorship, probably going to curb the appetite to come here. You know what I'm saying?
I just saw some charts. These are different cities throughout the world. Red is... Okay, the red is a place called Washington, D.C. Look at these. Baghdad we doubled up on Baghdad. Panama City, Brasilia, San Jose, Costa Rica, Bogota, Colombia, heavy drugs. Mexico City, I mentioned, Lima, Peru, all double and triple what they are. So do you want to live in places like that? I don't think so. And I think the people in this room,
oh my gosh. Literally, it took them like 30 seconds to fucking totally lull me into what the fucksville.
You wrote correctly, you'd see, look at the kind of numbers we have. D.C., 41 per 100,000, number one that we can find anywhere in the world. Other cities are pretty bad, but they're not as bad as that. That where you want to live? The reporters of the world? Juvenile offenders and crimes against persons, as they say.
You see what he's doing? He is trying to make his attacks on the media seem like, you know, his restrictions, his keeping the media honest or whatever the fuck he's doing against them, something they should be thankful for, because he's gonna make it safe for reporters here. The hell he is.
It's getting worse. Not getting better, it's getting worse. And we had a recent indication. There was a story about a man who was just left. He quit because he was asked to do phony numbers on crime. And we're going to look into that. I think Pam is going to be looking into that. But he was asked by the city, I guess, that we don't want to show the real numbers. Let me do numbers so it looks like it's going down. Not going down. And under Biden, it was a disaster. And nobody did anything about it. We're going to do things about it. Like,
wow, that's really disgusting. I wonder what fucking fucked up social media post he got that from. That the city asks the person who does the crime statistics to fudge the numbers. And the cult buys this stuff. This is nothing but, my guess is whoever does the statistics, they figured out that he votes Democrat. That I was rethinking it the other night, last night, yesterday, that where is Trump's policies and what he's been doing? How are they in line with Project 2025? It says right in there, replace everyone you can with a Republican, a conservative, a far-right conservative Republican that is 100% behind whatever the president's agenda is.
you wouldn't believe. It's time for dramatic action. We're going to do the same thing over here. It's going to be a very safe city very soon. We're not looking to take years, because a lot of people die in years. And we've got incredible people in this country, except we have to allow them to do their job.
Want $1,000 weight loss medication for $50?
All right. Sorry about the ads.
And that we will deliver like nobody's ever delivered before. I actually think it's easy. You know, if you're competent, it's easy. If you're incompetent, it's impossible. But I'm very competent. Last week, my administration surged 500 federal agents into the district, including from the FBI, ATF, DEA, Park Police, the U.S. Marshal Service, the Secret Service, and the Department of Homeland Security. You know, a lot of nations, they don't have anything like that. They got some police, and they're rough police. They don't have DEA, ATF, FBI, Park Police, the U.S. Marshal Service, Secret Service, Department of Homeland Security.
This is where it starts getting crazy, and Trump basically says kind of gives all law enforcement, any of these agencies he's mentioned, is giving them permission to just go full Gestapo. Full secret police.
They got some police, but they're rough police, and they do their job. They don't have crime. We're not going to have crime either. They made dozens of arrests, and that's what...
just makes me sick, man. Makes me sick. We're not going to have crime either. You're a rapist, and you've done so far everything you can to withhold any clearing up or evidence clearing up of you being a pedo and part of a human trafficking ring, like number 3. Epstein, Maxwell, Trump. The three fuck-uppeteers.
It's what starts to happen. Again, cashless bail. Watch what we do with that. Today, we're formally declaring a public safety emergency. This is an emergency. This is a tragic emergency. And it's embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday. I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful capital was, with graffiti all over the walls. It's another part of it, by the way, because we're talking about...
Remember when he pardoned 1,500 people, a bunch of which graffitied the Capitol walls, smeared shit on them? Remember that? Remember when he pardoned 1,500 people, just a blanket pardon, who did the exact same things in his name that he's crying about?
Safety, but we're also talking about beautification. We have the most beautiful, potentially, capital in the world. We always had. But people come from Iowa, they come from Indiana, they come and then they get mugged. Not going to happen. Keep coming, because by the time you get your trip set, it's going to be safe again, and it's going to be clean very quickly. We're going to replace the medians that are falling down all over the roads. We're going to replace the potholes. We're going to put a nice new coat of asphalt over the top. No, we don't have to rip the road out and spend 7 years building a new road because they cut everything. Because some designers said, well, we need a 1/4 of an inch more turn for safety reasons. No, we're going to do it right. We're going to get it done quickly. So today we're...
Deregulation of safety. Perfect.
Declaring public safety emergency in the District of Columbia, and Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's fantastic, is taking command of the Metropolitan Police Department as of this moment. And I'll be making the appropriate notifications to Congress and to the mayor, our new DEA administrator, who's one of the top in the country. He better be Terry. If you're not, I'm going to get rid of you so fast. Terry Cole. Terry, thanks. Very good. We just got him. Most highly recommended person. And you'll be designated as the interim federal commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Department. Okay? And you run them tough. They're good. You have a lot of good people. You have people that shouldn't be there. You also have people that shouldn't be there. They got in there because of woke. But you have a lot of great police. And those people are the ones that want to help you.
Pamela, it was more than an hour.
All right. The colored ones. The women and the colored people got in there because of woke. All right. Here we are. Jay and Wes, what's up, fellas? Bully, goodbye. Yeah, so that was not, it must have been today. There was a presser where Trump threatened to take, he mentioned a bunch of other cities, New York City, of course, and Los Angeles, and Baltimore, and I don't know if he mentioned Boston, but yeah. Cincinnati, maybe he said Cincinnati. Yeah, Jay, let's hope that whatever changes that blue states are going to make, they get this shit going through, because it's worse in Texas than at least than I thought. I didn't know for sure how it was 5 seats or whatever. Now I'm hearing it could be up to 8. And so that's man, I mean I don't know what to say. I hope that would absolutely make things a lot harder for the Dems to take back the House. Yeah, my guess is that there's some blue areas, some blue cities, some large blue cities and areas in states like my very own Michigan that could probably change some maps and gain a few blue seats as well. So yeah, it's taxation without representation. It is the battle. And that's slightly above my pay grade as to how and where these redistricting, how and where it'll happen. I mean, I have some idea, like I mentioned, some larger city, and the thing is, like Jay said, it's only going to end until when it hurts both parties. But I think we're probably close to it. It's going to be a complete mess here real soon because we're likely to see now just about every state whose governor is willing to get involved in this fucking fight is going to look at remapping. And obviously there'll be some states that there just probably won't be any sort of options. I mean, who knows? I suppose anything is possible, whether it's a single seat or whatever. B, what's up? How was the euchre? Euchre. Looking through some headlines. Bill, cheers to you, brother. Happy hump day. B got 3rd place in euchre. Bill says that Dems can demolish red states in a district redrawing by like a 20 House majority. That's across the nation, I take it. Republicans are trying to spin this as Democrats are the gerrymanders. Yeah, they've gotten really bad at that, Jay. Like every fucking thing these cocksuckers say is exactly what Trump is doing. That's why I don't see you frickin', well, at least not where I can tell that you're pissed off very often, but yeah, you having to mute Trump. I know it gets, I'm there. I don't know what else to do. Keep doing what I do, but yeah, I mean, it's just really really, really frustrating, you know, to say, to downplay how I feel, I guess. It's fucking frustrating when he stands up there and talks about law and order and, you know, defacing the Capitol, and what a fucking cocksucker. B says everyone plays for themselves, no partners. I got you, so you count points that you take or whatever. Or tricks. Wes says the argument is racist, can't do the black and brown. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Certainly the Republicans are gerrymandering districts based on race. They want to split up as many of the black voters into little groups inside strong blue area districts. And it isn't just black voters, but certainly if they can target minorities and, you know, defunct the power that the minorities have in these states, that's all it takes. Jay says 87% of Republican seats are in gerrymandered districts. 35% of Democrat seats are in gerrymandered districts. It's more than 2-1 in Republican gerrymandering. Bill says everyone should realize in a free society, if politicians spend months out of 2 years to ensure they stay in power, that's not democracy. Well, yeah, campaign funding, corporate lobby groups. There used to be a time where you had to serve in a public aspect for a certain length of time, no matter where you were. And I get that that was a whole long time ago. And it probably didn't pay shit. It probably was taxing on families that had to go do that. Send someone off for a 6 months or a year or whatever it was. Or rather, it was just right in their local area. Time spent. But they probably seriously cared. And I get that the size of our population now, it makes that a little bit more difficult, though thankfully we do have still very, small localized governments. Even those have become a fucking, kind of a character and popularity contest as opposed to who is most qualified or likely to get things done for the betterment of all of us or the majority. Heather Cox Richardson. Understanding Trump's takeover in Washington, D.C. Wes says, why don't you find other channels to air? What do you mean? I don't stream other people's channels here unless it's fucking on the street streamers like protests. If you see me run the news, it's not on TV2 Live. Hey Bear, what's up, sister? Yeah, Jay says that Democrats have to stop bringing fists to cuffs in the Republicans' knife fight. Yeah, I've heard, the Heather Cox Richardson sounds familiar. I watch a lot of different stuff. Gumby says, what up, A-Bear? Gumby sounds just like I do, oddly enough. Yeah, there's way more of us, but we got to somehow make that felt. I don't know what to do, you guys. Just wait for somebody to tell me to fucking go out and start kicking ass, because we're at our last hope. Wes says he's expanding audiences. He goes to places until he's sleepy. Abear says if you haven't seen it, John Oliver did a stunning piece about ICE and immigration arrests. All right, you guys already, I guess I better get my list going. Heather Cox Richardson on DC. And John Oliver, who I am familiar with. On ICE. Yeah, maybe I'll try and, after my BRB, I'll try and find that presser where Trump lists a bunch of other cities that he wants to enact his authoritarianism over. Bill says he subscribed to Heather. Does she understand? Bill, does she appreciate you the way we do? Because she should. Telling you, some of you motherfuckers would make some. Can I call you guys motherfuckers? I guess I can. I just did. Some of you guys would make great guests. Hee-hee. That's funny. B says lowering oneself to match a foe is a bad idea. Yeah, but I do it every day, B. When the chuds accuse me of acting like a fucking maniac, I just tell them that I meet them where they dwell. You can't speak Greek to a TV. Yeah, see, Abear says, I long believe that I'm not sure I do anymore. We are fighting a war trying to be nice, and it is time for shin kicking and lying. Yeah, you know, when I see folks like Abear or Jay saying they've fucking had enough and it's gloves off, and even as big a mouth as I have, you know, you guys have probably been able to tell that it's been a tough few months for me, because that's where I am too. And I don't pretend to be half as docile or self-controlled as some of you folks. But yeah, you know, does anybody want to compromise their ethics? Of course we don't. Do you say, well, I was a good fella right up until they fucking slit my throat. So props to me, right? I think that's the battle we're in. Now when do we decide what is the what is the switch that gets flipped that like, is there going to be an indicator of what Trump is doing where we'll be able to say if he goes any farther, then we for sure are going to see a bunch of innocent American citizens being put in concentration camps? Or, I mean, obviously we'd have to start seeing that kind of shit being built, and then maybe maybe it'd be, hey, somebody's got to be filling those. Yeah, B says gloves off to do what? I can't be. I don't think it's smart for me to be quite that vocal right now, B. Honestly, I don't think. Obviously, this is. You guys have never heard me yap about this being a large channel by any means, or anybody that I would have to worry about paying attention to what's going on here. But in Trump's world, America, I'm not comfortable with. Look, I've seen people. You can't say, you can't go fucking talking about staging a coup against our government. That's not gonna, and that's not what I am suggesting anyways. I just want to be clear about that. I'm saying that I am prepared to fight physically for our Constitution, which I think would be very difficult for anybody to bring me into a court of law and say this guy is an insurrectionist or, a traitor or treasonous. Yeah. Arlene says, TV2, exactly, you're responsible for your channel. Well, it does. I don't feel like the biggest guy being responsible sometimes, like, kind of the statement I just made. It shows a little bit of lack of willingness to put myself out there, maybe. So, but I don't know. I struggle with that, you guys, every day. Again, it's not like I think that what I say or do here is a huge issue to anybody on the right, but people are dirty, and I don't know. But I know that if anything did happen, it would be my ass in the sling. I'm okay with that, I guess. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't do it. I understand that I don't know the laws so well that my mouth might not get me in trouble. I don't know. A-Bear says, how is MAGA winning? All that useless noise. Dems need to play ball with that crap. Yeah. Jay says, you can't make moral arguments on the weapons of a duel while you are bringing fisticuffs in a nice fight. Republicans are winning those same duels. Ethical arguments aren't working, have no place. Right on, brother. It's about the survival of our. Yeah, I agree, Jay. That's what I was just saying. It's really comes down to we aren't fighting for our party. Yeah. No, you do fine. Darlene, you guys, everybody's time, you are a staunch supporter of the channel, and I appreciate that. It's always going to be just your folks' time is what's so important, and word of mouth, whatever. Like I always say, share with those you love and those you don't. Especially with those you don't. If you think I might irritate them, share, share, share. That's what all this is about, is the amount of time that, and not that, me sitting here yapping my ass off a couple times a night accounts for much, if anything, but the willingness, the fact that you guys, this stuff is in the forefront of a lot of our minds every day means a lot to me. It gives me, keeps me inspired. Our time spent and dedicated to this is never going to be wasted. Yeah, Jay says, you ask for this, you can always move out, like the Republicans did in California. Yeah, I wonder, is that where Bill says that Cali is only half there. Other blue states need to get behind it because Tennessee is already talking. Is that where, I assume that must be where Hegseth is from, or at least lives. I mean, he's running for governor, or I wonder if did that bullshit discussion end? I mean, I think it would have been great to see him step down. You can see like some jobs only lasting a year, like a press secretary, but yeah, we know it's going to be, I don't know how many people higher ups Trump has already fucking replaced that he brought in, I'm saying. Yeah, Jay says there will not be a single Republican seat in a blue state. Enjoy. Yeah, we're having the battle of education here in Michigan because, we have a blue Senate or a red Senate and a blue House. We call her Senator Homack. Wes. The school year is about to begin here in Michigan, and none of the districts have any idea what their funding's going to entail. Well, at least that's one thing I can say about a lot of Michigan residents. And again, I'm surrounded by Republicans. Seems like everybody is. I mean, whatever, it's sad, but at least thankfully it seems like that here in Michigan we do appreciate and value education in my area. And I get that every area, county, city, school system handles things differently, unfortunately, for some reasons, but yeah, Bill says 9 Republican D.C. congresspeople, that's more than most red states, but that's the nuclear option. Yeah, 2024. We did, Darlene, for 2 years. I have to do some little bit deeper research on this upcoming Senate battle here in Michigan, because that Rogers is running again, and that dude's a sketchy bastard. But, you know, from Trump's endorsement alone, I mean, he did. I don't think it, honestly, I'd have to go back and look. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I think maybe Slot can beat him handedly, but drink, Wes. It doesn't help, but it changes things. I mean, it doesn't change the problems, but changes your disposition. Might not make it better. Sorry, I had to pop into Chud Chat. Check out this shit. Check out this fucking post from LB. King Tide, what's up, bitch? Do I look black? I've been referred to as a lot of things, and not that it would be an insult, but do I have any sort of African American features at all? Yeah, Mike Rogers. Yeah, LB's a mess. She's like just a complete fucking joke. Almost got to feel sorry for someone. I mean, it's all choices. She's fucking lazy. No desires or inspirations to do anything with her life. I'm sure her deepest, farthest fucking thoughts are how she can set herself up with enough booze and whatever else she needs for like a year at a time. That would be like her fucking dream come true. Like to know that for the next year she could just sit and get fucking sauced every day and not have to worry about anything. Bill says those Scandinavians got around. Is Black Smoke here? Can somebody just remove that dumbass for me? I can't see him. I don't tolerate ding-dongs coming in my chat that I can't see. That doesn't work for me at all. Maybe I blocked his fucking dumbass, though. I wouldn't be surprised about that. Tide says he gets a chubby every time I wear my do-rag. That's unfortunate, but I guess, I mean, you probably been a while, huh, buddy? The old hand isn't as sexy as it used to be. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not digging through my block list to see if I got If one of you moderators could just go ahead and send Black Smoke on his way. He's a pretty disgusting individual. There's no doubt about it. I am a Dutchman. There's no doubt about that. That's all right, Tide. You speak in fucking tongues. You know what I mean? If you know, you know. Bill says you're a Viking TV. They found Viking graves in Iraq. I am kind. I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, I have the Scottish blood. You know, I always kind of refer to myself as Dutch, but yeah, Dutch, Scottish, Polish. I guess I do have that. Bill, I don't think I've ever thought about that because, you know, that's where I spent all my time was with my my Southern grandpa and my Scottish grandma, but yeah, I guess I have Viking blood. No wonder I'm such a fucking firecracker, eh? All right, it's that time. You guys have wasted another perfectly good hour and 7 minutes. I'm going to do a BRB. If you're here when I get back, I'll yap at you some more. If you're not, I'm just going to yap some more. So I do appreciate you. Go grab yourself a bag of nuts, a cold beer, a Molson if you have one, a Black Russian if you have some coffee and vodka, and a little Cafe Lolita or Kahlua, whatever some of you rich fuckers might be drink like Tide. Tide's rich. All right, you guys, I'll be right back. Or give me, 5-ish, 6-ish, 7-ish minutes. All right, you guys. That isn't what I wanted. There it is. keep rolling over my headphones cord. I'm back. I'm back. All right, you guys. All right, you guys. Yeah. I just want to say that, well, I get pushback from some chuds because, you know, you guys know me. I'm just a fucking regular guy. I like to share a little bit about myself. I try not to make it all about myself. I'm a yapper, so maybe sometime, you know, I love my kids and I'm proud of my family. So I think for sure the chuds question how honest I am about some of the, you know, it has nothing to do with me. I don't take credit for what my kids do. But Jay says, remember when MAGA was calling mandates for vaccines on federal workers' dictatorship? Pepperidge Farm remembers. My son, who still works for the NSA, was not happy about having to get a vaccine. And I had to talk him down. I'm like, and I don't want to go into, you know, I think it just shows that, at least for me, I have, I raised my kids as a pretty liberal person. That's how I raised my kids. I didn't raise them to be liberals. I raised my kids, me being a liberal, right? So I gave them a lot of freedom to think, you know, to think for themselves. I encouraged it, in fact. And so what do you know? They did. And I don't regret that, obviously, but because it's that's what's made it possible for me to have an incredibly strong relationship with my kids, disagreeing on some pretty tense, you know, heated subjects, right? Because they're adults. And look, I think you guys, I'm sure it's different for everyone. You guys understand the relationship that you have with your parents and with your kids and how there's similarities and differences, right? But I said, you got a choice. I said, you enlisted in the Navy knowing that you had to get vaccinated. You did that. Why? A lot of your choices were because career, smart choices, not selfish, wanting to just see the world. That's not selfish. You were willing to do the work and earn your way through that. The vaccines went, wait, when you enlist in any branch of the United States service, you're about to get some vaccine updates that the majority of Americans don't get, because that's not what's required. We're not traveling to all these other countries. And I haven't been out of the United States other than to Canada a handful, 3 times or something. So I don't know. I'm sure there are some countries you go to where I don't know if it's required by our government, but certainly it's recommended that there's certain vaccines you get, right? Shots you get to protect yourself if you're going into like some third world jungle areas. So I told him, I'm like, why was it a problem 4 years ago and it's not? Or, you know, he was out of the Navy, but still he worked for the NSA his whole time in the Navy. And that's what he's been doing since he's gotten out. It's been almost 11 years now total. I'm like, why is it different now? I'm like, make the choice. I'm like, this is I'm like, you didn't look into your history very well about how it all works if now all of a sudden your personal decision is that you know better than what the Navy knows or what the government knows for its own well-being. So his choice was to get vaccinated. And guess what? It's kicking ass. Didn't have to give up his job. So there's my take on that for any of the people that, again, isolated, personal, just a single incident or situation or example of a federal worker that was not happy about having to get a mandated vaccine because they were a federal employee, but did, and they're fine. And so guess what? A mind was changed because they weren't stubborn enough to leave their job or to wait for a pink slip. I mean, for fuck's sake, you have chuds. The hypocrisy is off the charts. I mean, I don't know if maybe this isn't a great example, but I think it's relevant. You have chuds that were always about, employers, should be able to do whatever it is they want with their business. And then all of a sudden all that changed once employees were requiring folks to have, to be safe medically, to not be spreading contagious diseases, right? Like, sure, you can pay people jack shit. That's the way it is. You work your way up. Ain't nobody ever said that you should be able to be a full-time employee at any job and to be able to feed yourself and take care of pay your bills. Not in America, right? Well, why the fuck not? So when it came around, so employees can do whatever they want. Employers can do whatever they want, pay employees whatever they want, don't have to provide health insurance. And, that's even a tough one for me. What do we require folks to do and not do? And what did we see? We seen at the end of, 2020, I guess, huge increases in pay. Everybody that had a job for any sort of company at that time, wasn't self-employed or whatever, they got a huge increase in pay, right? It didn't cause these companies to go out of business. It didn't cause companies to start laying off people. You might have, I gave some decent examples, I think, back then of a company, and I used my youngest daughter because she has been working for one of these fast food sandwich places, right? And she's still with her. I'm so proud of her because she's a youngster and is in management already. And I did not see her having the disposition for that. Because you want to talk about, you guys think I'm wound up sometimes? Psh, should see that girl. But they did had they, if you have a staff of 13, 14 people and you had to give them all $1.75 an hour raise, and because of that, maybe you had to, eliminate a position, lay somebody off, but get rid of one employee. Well, those employees that were able to stay on and are now making, what is that? What's $1.75 an hour? On 40 hours, that's another $65 a week? $250 more a month? Those people, when you're at that pay level in life, you're spending every fucking bit, every penny of any raise you get for some time to come. So they got that $1.75 an hour raise. They were surviving before. Great. They're going to spend every bit of that. Maybe their standard of living is going to go up a little bit. Maybe they're going to be able to finally afford a payment on a new car, which all that shit, that's true trickle-down economy that works. Not fucking giving tax breaks to the rich. That's pissing on those below you kind of economics, right? So now there is all this extra revenue or money being spent in the community, and it's more than likely to make up or create another job somewhere for that one employee that had to be let go because the other 13 were able to get pay raises, right? I know you guys understand this, but it just, that's something, and I'm a little OCD about some things, but it just seems like such a real easy solution to just making our economy boom and making it possible for folks to get closer to earning a living wage or be a single income household, whether with themselves or just one other or what, a single parent even, I guess, to be able to do that. I think, some shit pisses me off, but that kind of stuff is really heartbreaking. It is. That's the kind of shit that makes me sad, because it's like, man, most of us here are 50 plus years old, right? And so whether you have kids or not, you're able to see it. You have nieces, nephews that you love, cousins, whatever, younger cousins, and you just, the motivation and like the desire and just the energy and spunk that kids still have, that youth still have, it's hard for me to not want to support the hell out of that. Roy says an extra $1.75 per hour equals a bigger nut. And oi, oi, oi to you, brother. A Bear is giving a shout out to all the paranoid, delusional lurkers. They're watching. They're all incognito, A Bear, because Sin thinks that she doesn't want to give my channel any sort of likes or watch time or any of that. These guys are special as hell. Yeah, make America gullible again. Tide came out of his cult shell and said hi. Or I don't know if he said hi. He came in and started flirting with me or something and said some shit and left. I think Sin was here a few streams ago or something for a minute. Look, there's Bird Dog. BD, what's up with you? Bird Dog says, TV, please come get King Tide. He's crying about you still in the White House. Chat, he needs you. I know, I don't get it. They think, like, that's what's so funny. You guys know me, like, I'm not opposed to having more folks viewing, chatting, whatever, right? Of course not. But they think that when I post my stream titles that I'm over there fucking begging for people to come and hang out. It's like, you weren't around during the fucking, 5 years ago when I first started doing this shit. I'd sit for 2 hours and fucking talk, and there wouldn't be a motherfucker watching, chatting, nothing. So, yeah. That's not what I do it for. I post my stream titles over there for one specific reason, and it always works. It just sets them off. And why not, right? Jay says, from cheaper groceries, no new wars, and release the Epstein files to, and I'll just say AKA Trump files, to arrest the farm workers, wage global trade war with the entire planet, and there's no Epstein files in just 6 months. Yeah. God, what was the fucking one I seen the other day? It was funny as hell. Somebody said something about I don't know, they're making some sort of comparison with immigration arrests and like missions or whatever decades ago compared to arresting Pablo the fruit picker today, you know, who's just trying to get along. It sucks. Biden, can I say this, you guys? Like, Biden did fuck up, and I don't blame, like, I'm not saying I would have had the solution or we would have had the solution, but, and I think probably it's only, I'm only able to say this because, so I'm not, when I say fucked up, him and Harris fucked up, I don't mean like they just didn't give a fuck or they didn't do their best. I don't know. I guess, like, I mean, we had the Dreamers thing, right? So that we were trying to find a pathway to citizenship during Obama for these folks, you know. And to me, that still seems like. So when I say Biden fucked up, like they should have, and again, not that it was intentional at all. Of course not. It's just like we really should have. I feel like now that it seems like had we really pushed for far more aggressive funding with immigration judges and courts that because that's really what it's about is this process needs to be sped up, right? Like none of us are against anybody coming to this country legally, you know, and it's like, I guess I can't speak for you guys in this sense, but for me, I don't, and I'm certain, and I'm not even like, I'm not ready to just take everybody that came over here illegally and just fucking throw them back out if it's been, you know, 10 plus years and they've just been doing nothing but being a productive member of American society. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know, marginalizing a pretty serious law that they broke by coming over here illegally. None of us have ever said that, that's okay no matter who the fuck you are. It's not okay no matter who you are. But now that you're here, and which many of them are able to, if you're able to establish that you've been here surviving, and again, not that I'm sheltered, I could give examples, I'm not going to. West Michigan is highly dependent on migrant workers, right? I know people that were here illegally. Always happens. That was the first time tonight, though. I think I lost my train of thought. It's just, how are we going to, you know, Darlene throwing up super chats. Thanks, sister. I appreciate you. Yeah, that's weird. When you do the stickers, I can't respond to it, I guess. Anyways. Thanks for the support. I appreciate you. Yeah, we're on 6 months, cheaper groceries. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Sometimes I get going too much. Fred, what's up, brother? Cheers to you. Happy hump day. Jay says there's no solution to increased migration taking place after a global pandemic We knew it was going to happen. At least they checked in with the border instead of sneaking in and not. Yeah, Jay, that's exactly it. Like, and maybe I'm still not clear on all that, but I think I am. Like, a lot of folks, they still consider it, well, I don't know that it's, like you said, it is, like, I guess there's 3 different ways to come to the U.S. You apply from wherever your location is, or you come right up to the border, and I'm guessing, right, that's purely you're looking for asylum, for safety reasons. Maybe there's more than one type of asylum. I just assume political asylum. Or you cross without letting anyone know. And Jay, you know, brother, I've always had taken issue with that. Like, just no matter who, if it's Democrat or Republican, it's like we're never able to get what I don't think is I mean, when you're talking about margins of error of 20-25%, how do you know that they're just not way beyond that, right? I mean, you can't. So, like, I mentioned the gotaways earlier during that stupid Trump presser. It's like, we couldn't even get, even people who truly cared and had the resources could not possibly get, I think, a solid statistic on the number of people coming across the border illegally. And would have to have a starting point somewhere, right? So I would have to assume that nobody that is a criminal or has a record is going to be coming across the border legally, whether applying from where they're at or coming to the border and applying for asylum that way, instant asylum or whatever, temporary asylum. Those folks, the gang members or whatever, right? I mean, how many gang members are trying to get across the border illegally? I mean, I'm sure it happens, but are they really just sending trying to send thousands or tens of thousands of people into cities like L.A. to further their fucking gang activities? I don't know. It doesn't seem like that would be. I don't see how that would work out for gangs, but I'm not a gangsta, motherfuckers. God, I can call you guys motherfuckers again. Jay says the Geneva Convention on Refugees of 1952 makes it clear that asylum seekers and refugees are not required to pass at the border station. They are only required to check in with immigration. I gotcha. So they make it to the U.S., they could go to, and that, wow, that's interesting. See, that's just another reason why I love Jay. That's interesting, brother. So Jay, and he'll clear me up. So basically, Jay is saying, like, instead of, you don't have to necessarily stop at the border station, right, where we see, and they're not all like that, right? There's stations periodically along the border. They're spread out. Like, there's these, like, desolate fucking stations, right? There's not a lot of them, but it's not like they're not all like the big places that you see cars rolling, you know, the 10 lanes for cars to go through and foot traffic, bridges and all that shit. So if you get across the actual border through some, like the fence area in Arizona there that is so famous, if you then go check in with an immigration office, there's no, you know, you're not going to be held. You're not going to be, and I'm not saying, you know, supporting that or opposing that. I'm just saying, I'm trying to elaborate on what Jay is stating the law is, that we don't have a law that necessarily makes it criminal or keeps you where anybody coming across has to be vetted, or it's that clear. Maybe we should or shouldn't, whatever, but yeah. Yeah, that's exactly military. That didn't click with me right away, Bill. The first time I read your comment, Bill says depends on the other nation's definition of gang member. My experience is it was kids 15 to 16 about to be picked up in a military trucks to support whatever side they are. And the military truck thing threw me off. I'm like, you mean to get them off the streets in a place like El Salvador where, who knows how they're recruiting in their armies, right? Or their national forces. But yeah, basically, yeah. One of those fucking an S10 or Dassault Datsun or whatever style fucking mini pickup, right? Yeah, but I think Bill is I'm sure he is referring to gang members. Red or blue, right? Bloods or Crips? Yeah, exactly. Well, that's something too, I can kind of maybe I shouldn't say nothing because then some dipshit will pick up on it, but it's like, we can't necessarily depend on the criminal records of these other countries. Fuck, I mean, that's got to be a quite the task to determine who someone is, even if they bring documents saying this is who I am. Oh, Lala, if you're still listening, I did not claim that there isn't illegal gang members coming into the U.S. I said it doesn't make sense from a business standpoint for a place like El Salvador to be sending tens of thousands or thousands, tens of thousands of their gang members to set up in a city like Los Angeles, where they clearly have a pretty solid establishment going on. You know what I mean? Like, you explain to me, Pumpkin, how that would benefit their crime syndicate, right? My point is that Trump makes these claims that everybody fucking coming across the border is a fucking a psych patient or a gang member or just some sort of lone wolf, murderer, rapist, drug dealer. That you don't think that's bullshit that everybody come across the border? I mean, how many 5-year-old fucking murder rapists, drug dealers do you know? Lone wolf. How many lone wolf 5-year-olds do you know? For fuck's sake, that's desperation taking my words out of context. Well, just completely misquoting me. I didn't say that I don't think there's gang members coming illegally to our country. I said it doesn't seem like they would be coming here in droves as gang members. Like, I don't think MS-13 is like, we got to get thousands of our fucking gang members over into LA. I don't see how that. I don't think it just, you don't understand the fucking workings of LA gangs or drug trafficking down there or the fucking boundaries, right? the hoods that they control. It ain't just MS-13, lady. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you understand how that works. That benefits them. There's plenty of people to recruit right there in the places that they're working. Fucking Jesus. All you got to do is act normal. Just when you're ready to fucking start running your mouth, you go, "Ho!" And you don't. And then you dwell on what you thought you were going to run your mouth about. What a ding dong. Bill says militia recruitment isn't Bloods and Crips. Well, that's right. Well, exactly. That's not. I don't know. Do they even have. See, I would have to assume they don't even have those two gangs necessarily in a place like El Salvador. Like, it just has to be completely ruled by. Now, they do have Bloods and Crips, though, in other countries like the UK or country, but other areas like in Western Europe, like UK. Yeah, many other nations have conscriptions, right? Where they show up at your home and literally abduct you. Yeah, I would assume Russia is like that right now. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, she's a whole different character. I mean, I hate I find people interesting. You guys know I do. She's a whole different fucking bundle of what the fuck as far as Trumpers go, because she does. Yeah. Honestly, she is always, I feel like, on the verge of just completely coming clean and being totally anti-Trump, right? I mean, I don't get it. You know what I'm saying, Jay. It's like just a whole lot of fucking reasons. It's like she's just way more aware of shit. She just acts really fucking stupid and likes to be edgy. I mean, her desire to be edgy is more apparent than I think anyone else's. Like, intentionally edgy. Like, Chaos thinks he's edgy, but I don't think that's his goal. I think he's just a fucking spaz. Yeah, exactly. They don't tell you when they're coming. Jay, I shared the story when my youngest turned 18 and they sent him, or it was 19 or something, and they sent him the selective service card. He's like, "Dad, do I really got to fill this out?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, you do." Like, what are you worried about? I don't know when the draft ended. I mean, I was born in 1970. Obviously, the Vietnam War ended after that. I don't know how long we were actually drafting folks into the service through that whole mess, but my guess is the draft ended sometime after we officially ended the Vietnam War, or said it was ended. B says, a new gang in town, the Suits and Ties, they've taken over D.C. and the rest of the country for that matter. B, I cannot help but wonder, like, how people like Bondi and just anybody else, like Rubio, like, Trump is just doubling up their responsibilities and tasks, right? Like, and I'm sure, certainly someone like Bondi, she probably basically has a fucking bottomless payroll, right? I'm sure she has absolutely all the funding, maybe within up to a certain point, but she'd probably have to really go completely haywire on fucking spending because there's no way she's fucking policing all this shit herself that Trump just laid on her. She's probably I'm just completely blown away. I really am. It's like, how is that smaller government? It's like, I'm just, I'm frustrated, and I don't know. I keep saying that I wish I had the words to explain myself better, but I don't think it'd make any fucking difference. It's insane. Jay says it was like 72-ish. Right on, brother. I seen the fucking chuds. I guess there must have been some vote, completely irrelevant fucking vote recently that we still won't include women in the selective service process. And the chuds were cheering like that was some sort of win. It's like, I don't think anybody gives a fuck. I don't think there's a single woman that is pissed off because they can't be fucking drafted or, be selected in the selective service thing, because they can always volunteer, And I don't think there's any men that are pissed off because women aren't going to be fucking called into service if we are really desperate for people to take up arms. Fucking goddamn clowns, I'll tell you. Jay says U.S. military draft officially ended on January 27th, 1973. This date marks when Secretary of Defense Melvin Laird announced the end of the draft, transitioning the U.S. military to allow to an all-volunteer force. While the last draft call was in December 1972, the formal announcement of the draft's end came in January 73. So literally a month later. Literally a month after the last group of folks were called up in December of 72, a month later, the draft was ended. And Jay, so I'm assuming, did it go right to selective service then? It must have, right? Like, we must have had that backup plan of selective service. Which, some say it's not that much different. I don't know. It's more of a lottery than the draft was. Yeah, right on. Wow, the last draft call was, yeah. Darlene says, hello, A-Golf. Jay, did you go over to tea at Nana's last night? I was there right away. They were. I would love to get in on those conversations, but I felt like because I've learned a lot. But what they're doing is a whole, like, apparently she had some issue with a loop, an echo loop, hosting one of whatever they all do there on StreamYard, I believe. So, but they had that. I think he's German, dude. God, what the fuck is his name? He's not heavy set, just chunky, older like myself, bald like myself, but has all the fucking keyboards and shit around him. I've never heard him talk before, I don't think, and didn't realize it. I'm assuming he's German, something like that. And so he was trying to help her out, and she kind of know, it's like I couldn't. I mean, it took me a long time to get what I'm doing, and it has to be similar to what those folks are doing when you're hosting a stream and bringing just not even your own music. And obviously, brother, there's a couple different ways to do that. live, but to then start adding other fucking musicians, yeah, I wouldn't have had anything to help them out. I really can't. I mean, the one dude was saying that it just had to be somebody on StreamYard did not have they had a window open somewheres to the feed that they shouldn't have. Yeah, Emperor. Or Emperor. Yeah, he does some, like, I'm into some of that, like, he's got his shit down, and it's like, man, sometimes he picks up that guitar and it's like, holy fucking, I'm so in the cave yet with my fucking Boss ME70 effects processor in my guitar. But Jay, I know you appreciate it because you're the one who's told me before. It's like, man, TV, sometimes, that's the only way to write. I don't know if you said that exactly, but it's to just get on a clean guitar, an acoustic, whatever, and get rid of all the other noise and stuff. So you really are starting with your, just the fucking raw sounds. But man, that dude, his shit sounds good. I'm not completely into that spacey kind of, certainly not the slower stuff, but I've listened to some of his shit that rips pretty good. Yeah. I had a nice compliment from someone the other day that felt like I was getting an honest response to him about my writing. I mean, they were complimenting me about my guitar playing. And I'm like, yeah, it's, whatever. I think I have the chops. I'm not consistent. I'm not afraid to admit that. I don't have like any super extra special chops, but being a musician, that fucking one of those fucking idiots that Dave Incel, TV2 is a 50-some-year-old failed guitar player. It's like there's no such thing as a failed guitar player or failed musician. I mean, you might be able to say you weren't successful making a living at it, or you never filled a stadium, but that has nothing to do with really with whether you're a musician or not. And to say good or bad, those terms are so gray and change from one person to the next. It's impossible. So I've never gotten hung up on the shit. Thankfully, probably because I was such a fucking slouch of a guitar player for so long. Like, I heard it all out on stage, right? And all I kept in mind is one bar after another keeps on hiring us. We're the only band out there doing 40% of original music because we had a following. And it wasn't like totally on the fringe type music. All our originals were pretty kind of fairly mainstream with the 90s. Yeah, I've never seen. She was never brave enough to share her brother's YouTube videos, if he has any, or his name or whatever. I don't fucking have. You know me though. I'm all about checking out and promoting any other musicians, but yeah, I don't know. I have never been able to find or see anything from her supposed brother being a guitar player. not saying he isn't. I don't know why she'd be worried about sharing that. I mean, if he has any stuff out there in public purposely, then yeah, I don't get it. All right, you guys, we made it up to, I know it probably wasn't too long ago I took a break, but my bladder's screaming at me. So I'm going to do just like a real quick 2-minute break, and I'll be right back to probably to wrap up the stream. Maybe we'll take a look around real quick and see what other headlines there are. Could see what Craigslist has in the freebies. All right, hang tight, and I'll be right back. Oh my God, you guys. I'm not joking. I know it's probably not a very fucking interesting topic, but holy fuck, man. Sometimes it's like I have to go to the bathroom like right gosh darn now. Jay says, I was just reading your thing about track markers. My suggestion for your leads, make track markers that mark points just before they happen to warn you of the point you want to make during a lead. Introduction, intensification, climax, resolution, right on. Yeah, don't let people catch you noodling. Well, Jay, that for sure, dude, not being much of a singer, brother, I mean, as you know, a lot of my shit's very kind of instrumental, and I love doing longer pieces, So you get fucking 2.5, 3-minute guitar solos, and it is shameful. None of what I've ever posted was written note for note, not even close. Like, the video, I don't think the videos, I do have the video just of the solo or the lead guitar for She Set Up. And I just sit down and I'm like, once I have all the other track, and that was for the video, but because I don't want to try and fucking, like, I record when I'm doing a video of me playing, I'm planning on posting, I'm using that audio at that time. Like, there's no, like, overdubbing the video or, trying to put it together or anything. Like, both sections, that's what I use. And part of the reason is because it's a improv or a freestyle. Like, because I have it wrote by a 2.5, 3 minute lead, note for note. And so when I finished the solo for She Said, and I watched it back, I'm like, this is really boring. And Jay, to get around to your point about don't let the people catch you noodling, I don't know how many times I watched that, brother, and I'm like, this isn't gonna work. This is fucking me searching around for fucking notes. And I was. I mean, but then the more I fucking listened to it, I'm like, this is completely broken up. And like it as a whole after that, even though I knew what I was, how I was playing when I recorded it, as a whole, I kept watching. I'm like, this moves along and is broken up. And there's some shit. So since then, I've taken the parts I do like of that, and I'm trying to build it more so I can play the same solo, Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can fucking listen to a Led Zeppelin or a Jimmy Page solo, and it's like, I just know I know every note in my ear, right? Every fucking note that's coming, the bend, all that shit. The hammer on, the pull-offs. God damn it, Jay, you're just more disciplined than me, brother. But I appreciate you because you don't let me forget that that's what I need to do. Yeah, exactly. Endless polishing, right on. Yeah, I'd have to bring up, like, I know you're using different software than I am. I mean, like She Said is probably. Yeah, She Said has the most track. Like, this is a 12-track program. I think I'd have to. This is a licensed version, but I think I'd have to. So I used 11 tracks. I have 3 of them collapsed, which are just literally these echoes. That's all that is one little guitar part with an echo. But so I'm not sure exactly what you mean by marking it, like, because, like, I mean, this is the solo, so oops. So I know that it comes in these spots. I get a fucking buzz. I don't fucking brag about it because it ain't shit, but it's been really, I get a lot of enjoyment out of having learned how to do all this because I had no idea. I'd been in the studio 5 times, recorded 2 different discs with my band that I headed the band, but my partner was the more technical guy. He was 18 years older than me. And so just learning, and it's really past time for me to give this NCH program up too, because honestly, quality-wise, it's not great. I forget what one Jay uses again, but oh yeah. I've had Cakewalk for a while. God, dude, there's no excuse, Jay. But it is a fucking. I mean, to move from something like this NCH that I'm using, which is I don't even hardly touch on, but it's still pretty basic next to something like Cakewalk. And Cakewalk is pretty user friendly, but God, is it intensive. Like there's just so many fucking, every time you click a tab there's 10 more tabs, and that's crazy. Jay says he has a window that changes when the track reaches a certain point. It can be moved to a different monitor. I gotcha. Yeah. Right on. Yeah, I've had problems with, like, when I've been playing along with some of my unfinished stuff, because they're, like, I don't have a set endpoint necessarily, so I'd be looking up at the track. Right on. Yeah, hey, and another nice job on that. I like that reggae. If I can put it in a semi put it in a box, that reggae tune that you posted, that's good shit. I always have to mute. We'll have to fucking clean it up later. I don't know why. Pisses me off. Maybe I need to have Jay show me how to, because A-Bear does it too. Like, you guys are able to fucking use shit. Like, I've done some stuff, like when some of the covering some tunes back in the day. I don't have those videos up anymore, but I would post all the EMI or whatever it is, and ahead of time for those tunes. God damn it, what the fuck? Jay, post your last tune for me. I'm sitting here digging for your channel, but as you know, brother, there we go. Subscribe to so fucking many, it pisses me off. All right. I appreciate you guys. Darlene, again, thanks for your dono. I appreciate you, sister. You spend a lot of time here. And again, just honestly, that's what means the most to me, is just that's the most valuable thing that I have. I'm sure you all feel that way too. That honestly, money is great, things are great, but our time is the most valuable thing. And so whenever anybody spends more than, even if you fucking feel like, I hate this cocksucker, he's a bitch, fuck TV2 and the horses he rode in on, I still want you to know I appreciate that you spent enough time here for me to get under your skin. So Jay and Darlene and Bill was here. It's such an odd, it's kind of part of what's cool. Fred was here, and B and A Bear, Roy was here. Is that it's a mix. Like, I don't think we've seen James tonight. Haven't seen Putin. He's been busy with house guests. Bird Dog was here. A Rhythmic Ear. I'm just now seeing this. A Rhythmic Ear says, little man wants to sound like a big boy by cursing. Arrhythmic here, if you're still here, I apologize if I offended you with my cursing. No, it's terrible. I don't think it makes me sound like a tough guy or a big boy. I think it's absolutely, there's no excuse for it, and it drives me nuts sometimes that I use the F word so frequently. I don't know. Maybe it's my arrhythmic here. Maybe I'm just a fucking retard. You know what I mean? Maybe I have a really small fucking vocabulary or whatever, right? Whatever the fuck. All right, enough of that. I appreciate all you guys. Okay, here's a little bit of our very own A-Golf. There we go. All right. Peace and love. Be good. TV2 out like a motherfucker. Oh, yeah. One last thing. Arrhythmic ear. I love you, motherfucker.
Say